Welcome back to Out of the Rough, the Association of Women Entrepreneurs edition. I'm here with my co-host, Fred Arnold.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you for being here. Today we have another special guest, a returning guest, actually.
She's been on a few times.
Yes, Denise Placencio.
Hello.
Hello. She's an attorney, and so we're going to talk child custody evaluation. DaCorsi, Placencio, and Rumsey, correct?
That's my law firm, yes.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you.
Very official.
Yes, it is very official.
So, child custody evaluation.
Yeah, unfortunately,
what is that?
50% of all marriages end in a divorce, and so they have to come seek your advice.
That's right. 50% of first marriages, 73% of second marriages. So I'm very busy these days. Child custody evaluation. Very intense process. Child custody evaluation is a procedure whereby a judge appoints a licensed mental health professional to interview the parties alone, the parties with each one of their children, to contact collateral witnesses like teachers, doctors, dentists, anybody who has involvement in the lives of the children. And this usually happens in a high conflict divorce where the parents are fighting over custody so badly that the judge really doesn't have the time or the energy to really get deep into the nuts and bolts of what's going on in this family. So he appoints this third person, a child custody evaluator, to act as his eyes, ears, and arms in gathering information for him. Wow. And it's a very expensive procedure, $15,000 to $20,000 that the parties have to pay for in advance. The evaluator interviews mom with the kids, mom alone, dad with the kids, dad alone, the kids alone. The evaluator administers mental health testing. The judge, the evaluator then issues a 70 to 100-page report to the judge detailing all of the conversations that the evaluator had with all of these witnesses and what is really the truth that is going on in this family. Wow. And so then the judge has a hearing on this custody evaluation, and the parties can fight it out about what's in the report, and the judge will usually make a recommendation based on the findings of the evaluator. It's a very complex process, and you have to have an attorney, if you're going through a divorce, who has taken the mental health tests themselves. I have actually taken the test, and who knows what the procedure is so that they can properly coach their clients into getting through the process, because it's very stressful, very emotional. Sure. And you can say one wrong thing during the process and you're out of the water. For example, oh, my children. They're not your children. They are our children. When a parent refers to a child as mine instead of ours, it gives the indication that you think that that child belongs to you and doesn't belong to the other parent. So I always teach my clients right away, never say mine. Just call your children by name or say ours.
Interesting.
One big tool right there.
It's a tiny little piece you wouldn't even think about. So is this something that's ordered by the judge?
It's sometimes people actually ask for this procedure. Oh, wow. If you're involved in a high conflict case and you can't communicate with your spouse, your attorney might say, hey, let's just go ask the judge for a custody evaluation. It's going to be expensive, but it might be worth it. So a party can ask for one to the judge, and sometimes the judge just throws his hands up going, wow, I don't know what's going on in this family. I'm going to order this. And it can take up to a year to complete. It's a very time-consuming process. Wow.
You know, it's supposed to be all about the children because they're so impressionable and you don't want to put your kids through that. So what are some ideas and thoughts, tips that you'd recommend to avoid this situation? I know you mediate cases and you give advice, how do we come together? What are some tips you can give so that when there is some conflict, it can somehow be reduced in the best interest of the children?
When conflict starts brewing, you want to try and nip it in the bud as quickly as possible, and there are a couple ways to do that. The very first thing I would recommend is that parents buy books for their children about what's going on in their lives. My #1 favorite book for children is called Dinosaur Divorce. And it's about the story of this dinosaur family that's splitting up. And it really lets the children have an understanding of what's going on in an abstract sense. So buy books for your children. Another great book is My Two Houses. And it gives children the sense of excitement about having 2 rooms, 2 places where they can go, 2 sets of holidays. And children really take on the attitude of their parents. If their parents are excited about this process, their kids will know no different. But if one of the parents are like, oh, daddy's horrible, having 2 houses stinks, the children take on that mentality too. So books, I would highly recommend. If conflict starts arising, suggest going to a co-parenting counselor. There are a couple of really great ones in this valley who I would highly recommend. And it's not to repair the marriage, but it's to teach the adults how to communicate just about logistics, just about the needs of the kids without carrying the emotional baggage of the marriage into the process. You know, it's really hard to do that. Divorce is a highly emotional process, and it's not surprising that people are emotional, but at some point you have to cut the emotion out and just talk about getting from A to B, getting Johnny from soccer to drama, whatever his activities are. And so learning how to communicate in a new and different way is a skill that somebody can teach you. So when conflict arises, I would definitely recommend seeking out a coach right away.
Nice. Great advice.
You know, one of the things I'll just mention real quickly is, I come from a divorced family with my mom and my dad, and I always remembered that my mother never spoke ill will of my father in all the years. And I always remembered how that made a great impression on me about my mother.
And you know what? Your mother did you a very good service, because if your mother were to trash your father to you, she would be telling you that half of you is bad. Yeah. And so when you do that to a child, you really tell them that half of them is bad or not worthy. So regardless of how you feel about your ex-spouse, keep it away from the kids.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah, she's awesome,
Yep.
isn't she?
Yep.
Aw,
Denise,
thanks.
good to see you. I know you just finished a fitness challenge yourself.
I did.
And you've been
Great.
working out and
I
exercising.
did,
You look
and,
fabulous.
Hearing all this exercise advice is very inspiring to keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, Denise Placencio. We're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll be right back.